Hey guys, welcome to Isaiah's Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing G Project G-Boom 2. The company's G Project, if you don't know them. They've made a handful of things in the past, I don't know, like 5 years, 6 years, something like that. And this is the sequel to me, one of the greatest beach speakers ever made. There was a couple of things I wish it had. This one hopefully will adopt those things, but we're going to go over the paperwork of this thing. I've already listened to the speaker quite a bit. But we're going to go over it like I haven't, and then we're going to go into it and tell them some things I wish they would have done correctly, because there are some things. This isn't perfect, but I was waiting so long for this, because the original, let's talk about the original G-Boom. I told everybody about it. I took it to the beach. It's so loud, and the bass was so loud on the original that it just carried through the wave noise, and like the waves of the ocean, you know, can drown out any kind of speaker if it doesn't have the oomph to just break that barrier, that sound barrier that the ocean gives you. And a lot of people commented all the time. Every time I went to the beach, people would be sitting next to us a couple spots down, and they were always like, hey, what is that speaker? Where'd you get it? The bottom part of the original was just rubber coated. No seams, like no gaps, no nothing, just solid rubber coating around the bottom. The back had a flap. It was covered where you would charge the device, and I think there's a 3.5 jack in the back. And so basically you could sit in a pool of water, a puddle of water, sand, all that good stuff, and no particles, no nothing would get to the grill, to the speakers of it. And also there was a metal frame kind of to it that went up into the handle, and you could use it as a chair. And I sat on it all the time, so it was that strong for me to sit on it. It would survive probably driving your car up over it. I mean, it was really that stout and had heft and everything to it. It just felt like it looked, which was awesome. So I kept ragging them. They have sent me one speaker in the past to review. But I kept ragging them and emailing them about, hey, when are you going to come out with the, the G-Boom 2? Because, this other one's kind of working on obsolete, because the 5-hour battery life was just kind of old school. Nothing had 5-hour battery lives anymore on the speaker side. And plus I wanted to kind of replace it, because after about 4 or 5 trips to the beach with it, the grill had a slight tint of rust to it, but it still worked, and it still got like 5 hours. So it was a great speaker. So now we have the G-Boom 2. If you find this out in the wild, good for you, because there was only 2 of these in the known existence of the planet Earth. And when I did pick this up, it was not even on their website. It wasn't anywhere online, nowhere. About the only place you can get it is Walmart, and not all Walmarts have them. So I just got super lucky, saw it, about broke my neck to get to it. And the cool thing about this one is it has an FM radio on it. And I don't know if you're like me or like our family, but FM radios kind of are great to have on the beach, because you get to hear the advertisements, the local ads for things to do, for restaurant specials and stuff like that, plus some of the beach music and the mixes that they have down there. It's kind of a universal thing. Some people don't like listening to someone's playlist because it doesn't cater to everything, and normally the radios do. So you do get Bluetooth 5.0 for this. It's 30 feet of range. It would have been nice, carrying on with this rugged theme, if you could get the 75 feet of range, you should be able to have this doubled range. For something that's coming out, you might as well say in 2019, 30 feet for something that's advertising this rugged and durable, to me, isn't good enough. The FM digital radio, listen to music, news, and blah, 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 that's good. You can also have presets and stuff, and you can scan through the channels. It's got a little digital little window here where you can see what channel you're actually on and not just blindly searching, so that's awesome. 3 speakers, a Twitter, and dual bass ports. This is good for MAXX audio is what it says, but it sounds good and all that stuff. They've always had it's kind of the same sound wrapped in a new basket. The rechargeable 8-hour battery, to me, is a letdown. It's a 2,000 milliamp per hour battery. And all I did when I read that in the manual, 2,000 milliamp per hour battery. I remember going to, like, I don't know, like a dollar store or something like that, and seeing a little 2,000 milliamp per hour rechargeable external battery for your phones and stuff, because those aren't even relevant anymore. They're so small, people don't even want to carry those, because you're not going to get a full charge. You get like half a charge for your phone. It was like $5 in the store for a 2,000 milliamp per hour battery, and I saw that and I was like, 8 hours, we'll say 2019, 8 hours. Everything in 2019 is like 14, 15 hour battery life on Bluetooth speakers. 2000 milliamp per hour battery pack inside of it. That is so, when the first one came out, you should be able to have, I'd say, close to double the battery life for this, you know, rugged, you know, play it loud. We want you to crank it up. You get a 1-year warranty. Try and destroy the thing 8 hours. Really, that's probably done at 50% volume or so. That's where they like to test things at. So you're probably looking at 6 to 7 hour battery life. That's matching the first generation. What were you doing? That's a big mistake. Big mistake. Because why? Because when you want to charge it and you're out there on the beach, guess what? You can't, because it's going to take this proprietary charger here. So you got to have an adapter. You got to carry an adapter with you. Why can't we have USB Type-Cs on everything? We should, for recharging. You can get some power through those things and charge this. You don't need old ancient adapters that were used like 10 years ago. Come on. All right, enough blabbing about what's on the box and stuff. Let's actually look at the product itself. It has some heft to it. Those speakers in there, it's not super duper light. It's probably just a touch lighter maybe than the original one. It feels equally distributed, so I think a lot of the weight rests in these speakers and stuff, because you can see these are good sized speakers. They're not little tiny guys. And then there in the light here, you can see this big old tweeter here. This one's bigger than most speakers that would have it on this. And then you get the bass ports on the back as well. So it does look good. I think so. But the bad thing it sucks is you don't get that metal frame that it had before. These are deep screw holes, super deep screw holes, which you have just 2 parts plastic. So you have a seam that runs all the way around through the middle. Basically, it looks like you have 1/2 and 1/2 put together and then screwed in here and bolted together. And the bottom is not rubber coated at all. There's just 4 tiny little rubber pieces down here to keep it from vibrating and moving around. The speakers are a lot closer to the bottom of the ground than the other one. I like the other style where it lifted it up more off the ground, so when you're in sand and stuff like that, it had that whole rubber coating across the bottom. You could just shove it down in the sand. You never really had to worry with the sand getting into the grill, which I think, yeah, these grill holes are big enough that sand could get down in there. So that sucks. I really would have liked it lifted up a little higher than this, and that would have gave you plenty of room for a bigger battery, and we could have got double the life. But oh well, it is what it is. And then the back port here opens up, and it's about the same exact rubber port that was on the back rubber cover, and we get a reset button, the DC power in, and the 3.5 jack in the back. The buttons are super duper clicky. They don't feel like really cheap, but you definitely know when you click them. They're really loud, like if you're trying to be quiet. So we'll power this on now. Just one click will power it on. It's on FM. Turn it to Bluetooth. And then guess what we're greeted with when you turn it on to Bluetooth? You ready for another disappointing thing about this? Listen. You hear that? That's a whole lot of static. It really has nothing to do. You can turn the volume all the way up, and you can turn the volume completely down to off. Like the volume right now is completely to off, and you still hear it. It's the same hiss regardless. And it's coming from the tweeter in the middle. The tweeter in the middle, it's just hissing the entire time. Hissing the entire time. Really audibly loud. Seems like it's right here in my face, just hissing away all the way back there. Very annoying. And yeah, it goes away whenever you play, but I never really had a speaker to do that in a very, very long time. Like nothing, anytime recent, makes that noise. All right, what you get control-wise is the power button, volume up and down, the Bluetooth button. You can use the pair as well. FM, and you're scanning and play, and you do have some presets that you can do that's in the manual on how to do that. And the handle everything's completely plastic. I don't. The other style was made so well, you know. I don't think it's completely waterproof housing because unless there's some kind of super nice gasket in here, this crack down here on the bottom is kind of open a little bit and would worry me to set this down in any kind of liquid at all, where the other one had a completely sealed rubberized bottom. And another complaint that I have is right here you have your light telling you what mode you're in, Bluetooth or FM. Right next to it's your charging light. It'll be red while you're charging and go off when you're finished charging. But other than that, you have really no idea how much battery the thing has left in it. It starts flashing red down here to let you know how you might need to start charging your speaker. But still, I don't know how much I have left. You have a screen right here that you put right here. Why can't you have the battery life percentage right here? And look, oh wow, look, I just noticed this rubber wants to practically peel off this whole thing right here. Look at this. Peeling, peeling. Look at that. God dang. Why'd you ruin my favorite speaker from like 5 years ago? All right, let's just listen to it. We'll play my outro song at like 50%, 75%, and then 100%. We're going to see if these speakers are going to crackle and stuff, if there's good separation from highs and lows, and all that good stuff. I would expect a lot out of these two big old speakers and a big tweeter in the middle. We're going to play this 50% over here. My feedback and everything should look good for this microphone, so it won't distort. The volume's all the way up on my phone. 50%. Sounds okay. Let's just go on up to 75%. Sounds good and clean. See what happens when it gets into some other things to really pop these speakers off. Did it just like short out and stop for a second? That's not my phone. My phone, that wasn't a message, wasn't a notification. This thing, and I think the light flickered on the screen when it did it. You can play and pause and skip tracks from here too. Still 100%. A lot of distortion, a lot of tweeter noise. You hear some rattling. may last, it may not. I don't know, man. Like there's a break-in period for speakers, and normally I get about 40 hours, and 40 hours is on speakers, 40 hours are on headphones, all that kind of stuff before I would really give an evaluation. But you always know things in the beginning. You know things whenever they need to loosen up. You know the sounds of these tight speakers or whatever. You're like, oh, give it time. It's going to get better. It's going to sound better with 40 hours underneath its belt. But it's just kind of like, man, you should have just emailed me back, you know, and been like, hey, what do you want to see in the second generation? What would you like to see, since you're a huge fan? And you probably have a good idea, since I did review the first unit. So, like, you should have said, what do you want? And I would have been like, you know, the FM, the screen, all that stuff would have been great, but everything I complained about, I would have done the opposite of what you did. Improved the battery life. Made it where the speakers didn't rattle, especially if you're going to plaster all over the box. To turn it up, play it loud, make sure your phone volume's turned up all the way, set it to max, is all over the speaker. So it's just a little upsetting, because I really was waiting on the second generation, because I thought it might have kept the same exact body, the same structure, because it was so awesome, but just added like the screen, the FM, a bigger battery, and just added to what was already there. We didn't need a new style. I thought the original style was fantastic, and it was still would have carried over years and years and years later to now. Now I'm going to use it because I've already unboxed it, played it. It's not fair for me to take it back, so I'm going to use it. But it's just, you know, I'd expected so much more. And I just feel like you downgraded so much for this speaker. Went out of your way to downgrade from what you had before. Would it have been just as cheaper to keep the same body and make some of the little improvements? You know, I don't know the manufacturing process and how expensive it was over this. This seems really cheap. Like, you made two sides, bolted them together, and we get rattles, and I tried to press on the mesh screen on the front to see if that was rattling. I think it's direct from the speaker housing itself, beyond the screen there that I can touch, beyond anything that I can touch, that rattling and stuff is coming through. So for the money, I don't know, man. You can spend a little bit more and get a lot of it somewhere else that's from rugged, like super rugged speakers. So it's just very difficult for me to say, hey, go out and buy it, even though I was such a huge fan. It's like someone just tore a chunk of my heart out of my chest. So make sure to explode on that subscribe button and ding that dong so that you can get depressed again on one of these videos where I hype something up and then get real upset over hyping it up. See ya.